And this through a tweet from the President of the United States just recently saying that he stands behind the people of Iran as they try to take back their corrupt government and that they will see a response from the United States at an appropriate time. Meanwhile, at the United Nations, Ambassador Nikki Haley says the United Nations must speak out because the people of Iran, she says, are crying for their freedom. And she's calling for an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council and Human Rights Council.
It takes great bravery for the Iranian people to use the power of their voice against their government, especially when their government has a long history of murdering its own people who dare to speak the truth. So we applaud the tremendous courage of the Iranian people.
The State Department says it's trying to communicate with the people of Iran and is asking that government to open up access to Twitter and to Facebook, Sandra.
Iran's government, Rich, says the situation as of now is under control.
Now, that's what they're saying, despite the fact that more than 20 have died as a result of these protests, and they're well beyond the borders of Tehran. These are happening in dozens of cities throughout the country. Now, authoritarian regimes, when facing protests, usually mobilize pro-government demonstrations. That's what you're seeing now and happening in Iran, as thousands assemble to support Iran's religious government. Iran is already blaming outside influence on so-called enemies, presumably the United States, the West, and Saudi Arabia, for the anti-government protests. The State Department says the United States is monitoring protests throughout the country and will consider additional sanctions against Iran if there's any type of violent government backlash. This is also, by the way, when there's another Iran deadline facing the Trump administration. It's time again for the administration to decide whether to certify if Iran is complying with the bulk of the nuclear agreement. For the first time, the United States said that it was not complying with the bulk of the deal. That was back in October, as the administration, though, is still continuing nuclear-related sanctions or lifting those sanctions against Iran, keeping the U.S. in that deal.
Another deadline to watch. All right, Rich Edson, thank you.